Good morning, world. Welcome to another episode of Zen Dependently Minded. If you are a new or returning listener, I hope you enjoyed this episode. If you're interested in more content and podcasts like this in the future, please stay tuned because it's only going to get better from here. The world is in our hands. Let's do something with it. So just to start off in the beginning, I originally was going to have a boxing series on my podcast. I was going to have it called the Squared Circle podcast, just as a little series, because I have MMA Minded, Movie Minded, World Minded for politics and news and stuff like that. But I decided MMA is mixed martial arts, and boxing is a martial art in my eyes and in many people's eyes. So I'm just actually going to do this podcast, doing an analysis and talking about the keys to win for both Tyson Fury and Deontay Wilder with the rematch coming up in a couple days. I'm actually going to do this under an MMA Minded episode. So this is 16th episode of MMA Minded. This is Deontay Wilder versus Tyson Fury 2. So the first thing I wanted to start with on Wilder and Fury 2 is just a disclaimer. I'm actually a huge fan of Deontay Wilder and a huge fan of Tyson Fury. I'm going to try to put my personal bias and who I want to win aside. I want Tyson Fury to win, so I'm going to say that right off the bat. But I'm going to kind of make my prediction and just an analysis of the first fight and just how it ties into the second fight, because I'm very excited. This is one of the biggest boxing matches definitely of my generation, and I think of all time, especially in recent heavyweight history, just off the top of my head. But first thing I wanted to talk about for key points of this matchup is I see a lot of people talking about how Deontay Wilder is just a right hand. I think that's a very dangerous statement to say, because a lot of MMA coaches and MMA fighters have been talking about how guys are just right hands, just left hands. We saw Donald Cerrone's camp down in the UFC talking about how Conor's just a left hand, and he proceeded to get knocked out and destroyed by shoulder punches and a head kick. So I think it's a dangerous thing to say, and these guys are professionals. They have a lot in their tool bags, not just right hands or left hands or uppercuts or right hooks or whatever. But the main thing is when people say that, they're just trying to undermine Deontay Wilder's accomplishments. The guy, I believe, has 43 fights, 42 wins, no losses, 1 draw, and 41 knockouts. The only win he has on his record that isn't a knockout was against Stavern the first time, and we saw how that rematch went. That being said, a lot of people will say that he just has a right hand, but I feel like it's a casual fan thing to say, because if he's just a right hand, why have 43 opponents tried and failed to beat him? If you watch his fights, especially his last fight against Luis Ortiz, he was down on the scorecards, of course, but that's the beautiful thing with boxing and with MMA. It doesn't just matter what the scorecards say if you're able to put someone away, and that's what he's been able to do. 43 wins and 42 knockouts. You don't get that by just a right hand. If you watch his rematch with Luis Ortiz, he set up that straight right with his jab all night. He was kind of stiff, but he kept throwing his jab, and his jab was getting a reaction from Ortiz. Every time he threw the jab, Ortiz was kind of feinting his head to move out of the way. And if you watch that knockout, just watch the minute leading up to that. He sets that straight right into Luis Ortiz's forehead. Perfect. And that's boxing 101. That's not just a right hand. There's a lot of fundamentals. There's a lot of footwork. Of course, you got to have really good genes, and Wilder has genes and power that we haven't seen from many fighters, probably all the way back till Mike Tyson. He has a lot of power, and he's not just a right hand. Moving on to Tyson Fury. Tyson Fury has got to be one of the most electrifying and exciting fighters to watch, because, in my opinion, he is the slickest heavyweight in terms of defense and counterpunching since Muhammad Ali. I haven't seen a heavyweight. I am only 20, so I may have missed a couple under-the-radar heavyweights, but in my opinion, he is the slickest heavyweight and one of the smartest defenders and counterpunchers since Muhammad Ali. He moves with the speed of a middleweight, but he has the power and the capability and the technicality to knock anybody out. We saw that in his fight against Tom Schwarz. He knocked him out in the second round after letting Tom Schwarz gas himself out as he did something that was very reminiscent of Muhammad Ali dodging those 20 punches in 10 seconds or 20 punches in 5 seconds, whatever it was. He's a very technically sound boxer, but his defense is it's very smart, and his style versus Wilder's style, as we saw in the first fight, clashed. And in my opinion, Tyson Fury won the first fight. I saw Deontay Wilder only winning 3 rounds, 2 of those being the ones where he got the knockdowns. But I'm okay with the draw. I'm okay with the draw because we get to see this rematch, but I believe Tyson Fury needs to stick to his slickness. Well, that's a tongue twister there. He needs to stick to his slickness and stick to his defense and counterpunching, but I need to see more counterpunching from Tyson Fury if you want Tyson Fury to win. He did a lot of making Wilder miss because Wilder swings pretty crazy, especially towards the end of the fight. In the 10th round, I think, was when Tyson Fury actually had Wilder rocked, and he was close to finishing him. When Wilder's throwing those wild punches and he's making him miss by a wide margin, I want to see Tyson Fury kind of make him regret that. He needs to make him pay. That's something that's taught in boxing. I know that's something I learned when I did Taekwondo. Anytime someone misses something, you take that opportunity, because if they aren't fundamentally and technically sound, they're going to throw wild punches and leave themselves wide open for a huge shot, possibly to the body or to the chin, whatever it may be. I just think Tyson Fury's key to winning is to stay slick, stay tight on the feet, and use his jab to kind of separate that, because he has a reach advantage over Wilder. He uses jab, stick and move, kind of similar to what Anthony Joshua did in his rematch with Andy Ruiz, but he just needs to be very slick. He needs to move and work on his counter punching and throw some more counters, make Wilder pay for his wild swinging shots. And the key for Deontay Wilder to win is to just, he needs to close the 3-inch reach advantage that Fury has over him. He needs to close that distance, and he needs to basically land one of his trademark shots right on the chin of Tyson Fury. Tyson Fury is the only person to have taken 2 shots, gotten knocked down by Deontay, and come out without a loss. He's the only guy to do it. He's very tough. He's very slick, and I think he has the tools to do it. But I also think Deontay has the tools, and I'm sure he's improved on the things that he could have done better from the first fight carrying on to the second fight. One of the main things I saw was, of course, Deontay Wilder carries his power into the later rounds, but he needs to box smarter and try to really outclass and outbox Tyson Fury, which is going to be a hard thing to do, but it's possible. And he just needs to stick to his fundamentals and try his best to set up one of those trademark right hands on Tyson Fury. It's going to be hard. Tyson Fury knows it's coming, but he's not just a right hand, like I said earlier in the podcast. So my official prediction for this fight, it's one of the closest but exciting fights that I've seen in a long, long time. The last time I saw something this evenly matched was when Canelo fought Triple G the second time. I believe Canelo improved very much, and I don't just believe, I saw that he improved very much in that fight, in the second fight, in the rematch. I felt that he lost the first fight. Many people felt that way, but that's a topic for another discussion. But when it comes to, if I was to bet on this match, that would be a really tough one, but I would actually lean more towards Deontay Wilder by way of knockout, because Tyson Fury is very slick. He's very smart, like all the things that I've said earlier in this podcast. But I do believe it is harder for Tyson Fury to stick and move, land the jab, and just outmaneuver Wilder. It's harder for him to do that than it is for Wilder to land one shot. It's harder to evade. It's harder to hit and not get hit for 12 rounds than it is to land one devastating shot. So my official prediction for this fight is actually Wilder by knockout later in the rounds, probably around the middle, 7th or 8th round. So I'm going to make it official, Wilder by knockout, 8th round. like I said, coming back to that disclaimer at the beginning of the video, beginning of the podcast, I want Tyson Fury to win this fight. I like Tyson Fury a lot. I'm just slightly more of a fan of him than I am of Deontay Wilder. But whoever wins this fight is hands down the best heavyweight in the world when it comes to boxing. And whoever wins this fight needs to fight Anthony Joshua so we can have one heavyweight champion. And I would love to see Tyson Fury or Deontay Wilder fight Anthony Joshua. I think those are the main three big boys in the division. Andy Ruiz will have to see how he does with his bounce back comeback fight. But that being said, if I was to bet money, I would bet on Wilder getting a knockout. It's just a feeling I have. It's just some intuition I have. Same kind of feeling I had when, obviously, I was rooting for Conor McGregor when he fought Khabib. Just a feeling I had that he was going to get wrestled, outmaneuvered, and eventually submitted. And that's what happened. And that being said, but if anything, Tyson Fury showed he can take 2 shots, get knocked down twice, and come back to, in most of the public's eyes, hardcore and casual fans, win the fight. We saw that when judges said it was a draw, whatever. Tyson Fury showed that he is tough, tougher than 42 other opponents before him. So I hope to see him win, but I'll be happy with either guy's winning. Thank you for tuning in on this episode of Zendependently Minded. If you liked the episode, make sure you like it on YouTube or subscribe on any other podcast platform, share with your friends, and let's take over the world. Don't forget, the world is in our hands. Let's do something with it.